Welcome, everybody. Those who are able to stand, would you please stand while we say the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, I call this meeting to order. What's the date today? January 27th, 2025. Jordan, can you take roll call, please?
For roll call vote for the regular meeting for January 27, 2025. Members present, please state presence or absence. Trustee Dotson.
Present.
Trustee Wolcott.
Present.
Trustee Reyes.
Present.
Trustee Daly.
Present.
Trustee Couch. Trustee Couch is absent. Trustee Miller.
Present.
Trustee Miller's present. Chair Swanson.
Present.
Chair Swanson is present. That's 6 trustees in attendance, 1 absent. You have a quorum.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, over here. I would like to take a minute to acknowledge any public officials that we have in the audience, and if you could, please stand.
Okay. We're going to take the oath of office for the new trustees. Shonda, would you introduce the judge, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have the pleasure of introducing Mary A. Hood, the 7th Judicial Circuit Court Judge of Genesee County. And I would like to ask Judge Hood if you could please come forward to administer the oath of office for our new trustees. Thank you.
I would like to say a few words. Good evening. It is certainly an honor, it's a pleasure to be here this evening to administer the oath of office to Kenyatta Dotson, Candace Miller, and Chairman Jeffrey Swanson of the Mott Community College Board. When my friend Kenyatta asked me if I would participate in this ceremony, I was delighted. I immediately told her absolutely yes. I met Kenyatta several years ago. We were both running for public office back in 2022. She was running for a seat as a state representative, and I was back then running for a circuit court seat. And I immediately became connected with Kenyatta because we found ourselves in the same space all the time at board meetings, union meetings. We were all over the place in the community. And what I learned about her is that she truly has a heart to serve the community. She was responsible for and spearheaded the Unity March. She's an organizer at heart, and she really has the desire to be involved in the community and to make lives better in the community. So I appreciate her friendship, and I'm just delighted to be here. And I see several of the other of my friends on the board, and it's just a pleasure to be here, and I'm honored, and thank you very much. Dotson step forward. I have Mr. Chairman Swanson here and
want us to
Candace
move
Miller.
right here?
I would like for you to face me. Face. Please raise your right hands and repeat after me. First of all, I, Kenyatta Dotson,
I, Kenyatta Dotson.
I, Candace Miller,
I, Candace Miller.
and I, Jeffrey Swanson,
I, Jeffrey Swanson,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will
support the
Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of member of the Board of Trustees of Mott Community College.
of
of the office of a member of Mott
Community
College Board of Trustees.
That will conclude the swearing-in ceremony.
Thank you. Trustee Dotson has asked that her brother be able to say a few words or come on up.
I'm not sure what words she would like for me to say. She asked me to pray, but I'll say a few words. I graduated from Mott Community College, and I would say this college is a blessing to our community. When I came here, I did not know how to write a proper sentence. And after graduating from this college, I was able to write a book. So it's my prayer that this board here at Mott Community College will continue to do the work that is needed in our community to keep this college strong. There are more individuals such as myself who need the help, need the wisdom, the knowledge, and the guidance in order to move to greater places in their lives. Again, I started here, dropped out of high school in the 10th grade, enrolled into Mott Community College, and today I have a doctorate degree. And so please, trustee members, do what you need to do in order to maintain that which I received from this college. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you very much for that. Those who came for the swearing in, don't feel you need to stay for the entire meeting. If you want to, great. If you don't, that's fine also. So moving right along, additions to the agenda. Trustee Reyes.
Yeah, I would like to add under the president's report, the status on the banners in the Student Life Center. It's not for action, but at this point, it's not for action, so I would just like to get the full board to get the same information that I received.
Any other additions? Seeing none. Adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to adopt the agenda. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote by voice on the adoption of the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? All right, the adoption, the agenda is adopted. Jordan, do we have any communications?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have one communication that was submitted to the board by F. Jack Belzer, attorneys and counselors at law of Flint, Michigan, on January 10th, 2025. And it states, "Dear Sir, Madam, enclosed herewith, please find true copies of the petition pursuant to MCL 211.56A, Affidavit of Treasurer, and request for hearing on motion relative to the above referenced matter. Also enclosed, please find the proposed order to strike unpaid personal property taxes from assessment rolls, which our office will be submitting to the court at the time of the motion hearing, which is scheduled for Monday, February 3rd, 2025 at 1:30 p.m. before the Honorable Brian S. Pickle at the Genesee County Circuit Courthouse, courtroom 307. Should you have any questions concerning this letter, please feel free to contact our office at your convenience. Sincerely, F. Jack Belzer."
Thank you, Jordan. Any other communications?
That would conclude communications.
Okay, comments from the public?
Yes, Mr. Chair. The first comment has been submitted by Christine Wilhelm of Flint, Michigan, on the topic of conduct of trustee Couch. Well, it appears my point has been made very clear as it relates to Janet Couch. She left the board meeting yet again. How convenient to leave the meeting just before a scandal you created was about to be discussed. So Janet Couch blew up the board just to leave. Janet Couch has proven to be an absolute embarrassment for Mott Community College, and once again, I am calling on her resignation. This time it is personal. If you recall, last board meeting, I submitted a public comment calling on Janet Couch to resign and step aside. In addition, I called on the board to reject Janet Couch for all officer roles. I am very pleased with the board's action to reject Janet Couch for serving as an officer for the 25-26 board calendar. The board's actions of taking Janet Couch off the consideration list for officers shows that you possibly care. Thank you for saying no to Janet Couch and putting a stop to her using our board and college for personal gain. Janet Couch is not on this board for the right reasons, and with a little research, you will find that out. That's why I questioned her motives last month and have been trying to make my case for months. Due to Couch's BS, the meetings have been delayed and my voice has been silenced. Is this how we recruit students to come back and continue their credits? As stated previously, I believe the college and the board is dysfunctional because of Janet Couch and her daughter Dana Whitehead Hopper. Is this the same daughter that told her mom to vote against Dr. John Daly as treasurer? I would put John Daly's resume up against Janet Couch any day of the week. Does Janet Couch and her daughter Dana Whitehead Hopper really think they're going to run this college into the ground? According to the article published in MLive, the Flint Journal, Mott's interim president, Shonda Richardson Snell, purchased a home in Genesee County from Couch's daughter, Dana Whitehead Hopper, who was her realtor. The purchase took place in October, and Richardson Snell was first offered the position in November. Does this scream of public corruption from Janet Couch? Did former board attorney William Brickley quit because of Janet Couch and her daughter's conflict of interest? Are all of these special meetings because of Janet Couch? Is the Higher Learning Commission now investigating Mott because of Janet Couch? Is Janet Couch and her daughter Dana Whitehead Hopper the president's realtor, trying to distract the public? It appears all the problems at the college, from the board to the office of the president, are because of Janet Couch. Is Janet Couch compromising the search for president? Puzzling to say the least. However, the Higher Learning Commission seems to make themselves very clear. The institution establishes and follows policies and processes to ensure fair and ethical behavior on the part of the governing board, administration, faculty, and staff. It appears to me that Janet Couch and her daughter recruited this president pick and trying to fool the public into thinking they have nothing to do with it. If MLive is reporting that the real estate transaction occurred before the contract, does that mean Couch knew about this applicant? Sounds pretty shady to me. Did Janet Couch and her daughter recruit Shonda Richardson Snell? The article in the Flint Journal gives that impression. She sold the house and moved all before the contract. Give me a break. It is time to bring in a new generation of ideas to the board and turn the page on the Everman-era scandals. That's why I advocated the board to appoint Percy Whitmore when Janet Couch resigns. Unlike Janet Couch, Percy Whitmore is in the classrooms, at the events, puts in the necessary work, and will bring a balance of age to the board, a new perspective, and without personal gain. The board needs new dynamics that better serve the community. A member of the board using their position to poach a presidential seat and then quit on us is not right. We need bold change. A younger voice like Percy Whitmore is a start. Who's next? And thank you. Janet Couch should not have as much power within the board at Mott Community College as she has acquired. It is shameful the board operates as a whole, not one individual member calling the shots behind the scenes with the daughter. Let's talk about the Assistant Board Secretary, Diane Cotter, whose employment is on the agenda tonight. Pictures on social media depict Janet Couch at a recent event as earlier as this month with Diane Cotter. With a simple Google search, Mrs. Cotter is a trustee for Clio School Board and seems to party with Janet Couch on social media. On the agenda tonight is Assistant Secretary position picked by the new Secretary Candace Miller. This is how the previous agendas and minutes have read online regarding this subject. This means that Candace Miller will determine whether or not Diane Cotter stays with Mott as Assistant Secretary. I encourage Candace Miller to reject Diane Cotter as a well-known Couch loyalist as Assistant Secretary because of her affiliation with Janet Couch. Will Candace Miller side with the Couch family and keep Cotter, or will she side with Mott College voters and faculty and pick someone conflict of interest free? According to your agenda and previous action, Diane Cotter's employment now lies in the hands of Candace Miller. It is now up to Candace Miller to do the right thing and pick a new Assistant Secretary that has no connection to Janet Couch. As my comments are expressed in the record tonight, I'm surprised that Janet Couch is not getting ready to walk again and quit on taxpayers. Someone called Jesse McCartney because Janet Couch is leaving and never looking back again. As someone in the Mott Faculty Union and on campus has said so eloquently, Mott College deserves way better than Janet Couch and this hot flaming garbage.
Thank you, Jordan. Is there any?
Yes, Mr. Chair. The next comment has been submitted by Bobby Walton on the topic of unfinished business from Davison, Michigan.
Good evening. I have scanned the minutes you will approve tonight. I paid attention to the minutes of the November 18th meeting. This was the meeting where Trustee Janet Couch should have recused herself from any action to hire Shonda Richardson Snell to be the president of Mott College. I have read the Richardson Snell response to the inquiry from the Higher Learning Commission. The letter from the HLC to Richardson Snell focused on potential ethics violations related to the Couch action as well as her own. In this regard, Section 1325 of the Board bylaws and policy states, board members must avoid any conflict of interest with respect to their fiduciary responsibility to the college. Further, Section 1325 states, the board will not allow any officer, individual, or committee of the board to hinder or be an excuse for not fulfilling the board's responsibilities in a professional and responsible manner. Richardson Snell has signed the college response to the Higher Learning Commission, yet the complaint is about her financial relationship with Trustee Janet Couch's daughter. This is curious. She is not a disinterested party in the inquiry and the conflict, yet she has overseen the investigation and has coordinated the written response. This is clearly not in the interest of the college. It is only in the interest of Richardson Snell. Couch says she knew nothing of the conflict of interest of the need to recuse herself. She did not accept advice from legal counsel that she should refrain from making the motion to hire Richardson Snell. She moved the hire be made without following the process and procedure Mott has followed in the past when hiring a president. Couch's attitude was, let's just push it through. We have the votes. It's clear to me the concerns of the Higher Learning Commission are valid. Based on what we know, the Richardson Snell response is self-serving. Based on what we know, the behavior of Trustee Janet Couch is not in the public interest or the interest of Mott College. It is not unreasonable to believe Couch may not have been truthful. She claims she knew nothing about the Richardson Snell financial relationship with her daughter, an extensive relationship that involves the purchase of 2 properties in Genesee County in the month of November 2024. One for a residence and one a likely rental property in Flint. I believe the purchase of the rental property takes this enterprise into the realm of a business relationship. It is not unreasonable to think Couch knew about this relationship based on the following factors. Couch and her daughter both live in Mount Morris. They are apparently very close. Her daughter drives her to and from meetings of the board and observes board meetings. The nature of this mother-daughter relationship is close enough that I would expect they would discuss issues at Mott and those actions taken by the board. The opportunity for Couch to have known about the financial arrangements made between Richardson Snell and Couch's daughter makes it likely Couch knew. This creates the appearance of a conflict of interest, and the appearance of a conflict makes the action Couch has taken very suspect. In the protection of the public interest, Couch was required to recuse herself from the November 18th vote to hire Richardson Snell, and she did not. In fact, she made the motion to hire Richardson Snell. Former legal counsel Brickley was very clear in his analysis and judgment of the facts. In this transaction, he used the word illegal. He resigned as board counsel over this series of acts and triggered by former Chair Everman's oversight and his misjudging of Couch's conflict. Everman needed the votes. Brickley was not going to support this and endanger his license to practice law. If one looks at the August 2024 invoice from Brickley's firm, one will see almost 2 hours charged for consultation over possible ethics complaints. Was this the time period when Richardson Snell had contracted with Couch's daughter to represent her in buying a home in Genesee County? Did Brickley have concerns, and did he express those concerns? I'm calling on Couch to resign from the board. I'm calling on Walcott and Swanson to resign from the board. I am calling on Richardson Snell to resign from her position as interim president of Mott College. Every person I named has dirty hands in this deal. They have thrown the presidential search and the administration of Mott College into turmoil. They do not represent the best of the community. I encourage persons who want copies of documents I have, including invoices for legal services, the Richardson Snell contract, the expenditures made by the Board of Trustees for several months in 2024. Email me at babs4democracy@gmail.com. That's the number 4, babs4democracy@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Jordan, are there any other
Yes.
comments?
Yes, Mr. Chair, the next comment has been submitted by Paul Jordan of Flint, Michigan, on the topic presidential search process.
Let's see, do I have to do something here? All right. Thank you for this opportunity. Please forgive me for not meeting your gaze because I recently had an eye operation and I've been advised to keep my head down. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the newly sworn-in members and to reiterate my hope that this new board will close the book on the last board's proceedings, just as you will soon adopt the minutes of those meetings, and turn a new page, write a new chapter in the history of Mott Community College. It's a fact of life that in order to be effective, officials need to have legitimacy, and that legitimacy is bestowed by the community. And in the case of an elected official such as yourselves, that legitimacy results from the process of democratic election. Each one of you serves because you earned a plurality of votes in your election. Without that plurality, if your names had been simply picked out of a hat, you might hold your office, but you would lack legitimacy in the eyes of your fellow Genesee County voters and residents. The reality is that regularity, that predictability is fundamental to earning that legitimacy. Unfortunately, the previous board did not provide legitimacy to the appointment of the interim president. And it did not provide legitimacy by going back on its decision to engage a national reputable search organization to come up with a slate of well-qualified candidates to be the ongoing president. I won't say permanent because I was at previous meetings where that word is special at meeting. It's not too late. This new board has the ability to back out of the alley that the old board drove this college into. There's no progress going down that alley. I strongly urge you to engage a national search firm to come up with a slate of well-qualified candidates to lead this college into the future. No one chosen through the process that you have followed to date could hope to be viewed as legitimate. That's just a fact of life. So I urge you to do the wise thing and to do the functional thing. The longer this goes on, the longer we're stuck in that back alley, the more talent will bleed from this college. And we will all be the poorer for it. Thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you all wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jordan, are there any other comments?
Yes, Mr. Chair, the next comment has been submitted by Delrico Lloyd of Flint, Michigan, on the topic of general business of Mott Community College.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, and congratulations to all of you all. Congratulations to all of you who was just sworn in, particularly, especially Kenyatta Dotson, who someone I've grown up with and have watched Mammoth and Mott in this community to an awesome leader. I know that you will be an awesome addition to this board. My name is Delrico J. Lloyd, and I am the chairman of the Genesee County Board of Commissioners. It's an honor to be here to speak to you today. As you know, Genesee County is a beautiful place. It's a large place. Our constituency and our jurisdiction includes 11 cities, 17 townships, and 5 villages. We have an awesome group of leaders that are totally committed to creating a model of leadership for our entire county, every board, every entity, of what civility, professionalism, and collaboration looks like in leadership. So much so, recently on January 2nd is when we had our swearing in. We had, as a commitment to that collaboration, regardless of party affiliation, regardless of the demographics of our respective districts. We had a Democrat elected as chairman of our commission. I nominated a Republican who was elected as the vice chair of our board. And then we also had a mixture of Democrats and Republicans that were appointed as chairpersons of committees. And on every committee that we have at Genesee County, whether it's finance, whether it's government operations, and so on and so forth, wherever there's a Democrat as a chair, there's a Republican as a vice chair. Wherever there's a Republican as a chair, there's a Democrat as a vice chair, because we believe, just as Stephen Covey so sagaciously suggested, that leadership is not just about what we say, but leadership is more so about what we do. And so I just wanted to come today on behalf of the entire Genesee County Commission and the hundreds of thousands of residents that make up our beautiful county, just to say that we're here on their behalf to collaborate with you, to work with you. We have awesome partnerships with entities across this county, including University of Michigan. There's work that we have done with Michigan State as well. And we look forward to also, as an entire board, working with Mott College to forge awesome partnerships, awesome and productive partnerships that will serve the residents of our entire county and those outside of our county too, who would even seek to call our county one day home. I wanted to say that and talk about the model of leadership and how we're functioning at Genesee County as I take my seat, to encourage that same level of commitment and dedication as leaders here at Mott College. We have interest in what happens at Mott College in the sense that this is such a premier and such a coveted, respected institution within the boundaries of our community. And so what happens here matters. How we support and collaborate with you matters. How you interact with each other, it matters, because at the end of the day, we're all elected officials, either elected or appointed. And when the residents look at the challenges of this community, they generally, a lot of times, loop us in the same bucket, right? And so it's important for us to hold each other accountable, but yet to work together to make this community a better place than we found it. So again, thank you so much for your time, the opportunity to speak. Congratulations to the new trustees. I'm so excited, and but also look forward to great and awesome things happening up from where you've been. Thank you.
Thank you. Jordan, are there any other comments?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have one more public comment submitted by Jeremy Peters of Flint, Michigan, on the topic of Board of Trustees behavior and policy.
Good evening. Thank you for your service to the community. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Jeremy Peters. I am a clergy person serving a congregation here in Flint today. I'm speaking to you not as a representative of that congregation, but as a member of this community who is concerned about what is happening at one of the most important institutions in this community. I've had any number of conversations in recent weeks with people in and around the city of Flint who are worried that Mott Community College is losing its way. The mission statement on the front of today's agenda tells us that Mott Community College exists in part to improve the overall quality of life in a multicultural community. Serving a multicultural community means welcoming and respecting all the people of that community. I was concerned when I heard that pride flags were being removed from the student center and other welcoming areas of the campus. Taking down a pride flag makes a statement, and the statement is that some people may need to hide who they are in order to be welcome and accepted here. I have heard from people I trust that LGBTQ faculty and employees are increasingly afraid of speaking out for fear of retaliation, and some have already experienced targeted harassment. I was even more concerned when friends started directing me to the social media posts of Mott trustee Sue Couch. Friends have shared with me screenshots of social media posts going back several years in which Trustee Couch refers to our neighbors in this community as, quote, the blacks in Flint, refers to then Mayor Dr. Karen Weaver not by name but as, quote, that black mayor, expresses the opinion that instead of protesting social injustice, black people should be thankful because, quote, if they were in those other countries like Africa, they would be dying of hunger and disease, unquote. She further expresses agreement with people who share transphobic views and states that she is, quote, getting sick of all this gay pride, unquote. I have copies of all the posts I have referred to and more that I would be happy to share with the trustees and with the public. I have to believe that these statements and these views do not reflect the values of Mott Community College, nor do they reflect the experience we want students to have at Mott Community College. Having read these posts and these viewpoints, I don't know how anyone could have confidence that Trustee Couch will make objective decisions or be supportive of every member of this multicultural community. I would hope that having lost that confidence, Trustee Couch would have the good grace to step down. And until she resigns from the trustees, I would ask that she not be placed on any committees in order that her views might not do any further harm to students or to the reputation of an institution that has served this community so well for more than 100 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jordan?
That concludes public comments.
Thank you, Jordan. All right, moving on to item 7, consent agenda. This will be the approval of meeting minutes of November 18th and the 25th of 24. Minutes of December 2nd meeting, and actually that's on there twice. Approval of the meetings of the special meeting, December 19th. Approval of the special organizational meeting, the minutes for January 13th. Treasurer's report for November and December of 24.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I have been advised today that there is a misspelling in some of the minutes for one of our AVPs, Christie, and I can correct that typographical error without any motions, but it will be corrected in the minutes wherever it is incorrectly spelled, her name.
Okay. All right. Any discussion? Seeing none, we will vote. Jordan will do a roll call vote.
Move the consent agenda.
Oh, sorry.
Support.
All right, so trustee Daly motioned to approve the consent agenda with trustee Wolcott seconding the motion. Trustee Dotson.
Yes.
Trustee Wolcott.
Yes.
Trustee Reyes.
No.
Trustee Daly.
Yes.
Trustee Miller. Trustee Swanson.
Yes.
That's 5 ayes and 1 nay. The consent agenda passes.
Okay, item 8, the approval of the minutes of the closed session. I believe that each trustee has a copy of the minutes. They've been provided. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair, each of the trustees should have a copy of those closed session minutes for them to look at. Hopefully, they've done so already, and entertain a motion to approve, and then they do need to be turned back.
Trustee Reyes.
I move for the adoption of the closed session special organizational meeting minutes of January 13th, 2025.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Support.
All right, we have a motion. We have a support. Any discussion? Seeing none, Jordan, roll call vote, please.
Just for clarification, was that both you guys seconded? All right, so trustee Reyes moved to approve the minutes of the special organizational meeting, January 13th, and trustee Miller seconded it. Trustee Dotson.
Yes.
Trustee Wolcott.
Yes.
Trustee Reyes.
Yes.
Trustee Daly.
Yes.
Trustee Miller.
Yes.
Trustee Swanson, or Chair Swanson.
Yes.
That's 6 ayes, 0 nays. The minutes have been approved.
Okay, there is no unfinished business, I believe. Moving on to new business. Item 1.07, the appointment of the ACCT representatives. I believe, Art, you're a representative, correct?
I'm a member of the Board of Trustees.
You're a member of the board.
Yes,
All
but
right,
I'm
and
not
we
the
have-
voting delegate from Mott.
Okay, and we have to replace Mr. Freeman.
Yes.
Okay. I will appoint John Daly. John, would you accept that?
Yes.
Okay. The appointments to the standing committees, these are subject to the board approval. For the Finance Audit Committee, Trustee Daly, would you be the chair of that?
Yes.
Trustee Reyes, would you be a member of the Audit Committee, please?
Not unless the meetings are held after I get out of work.
The meetings will be held after you get out of work.
Okay, then
Yeah.
yes.
Yes? Trustee Dotson, would you like to serve on that board?
There may be other boards, other committees that I want to be a part of. Is this the only one?
As of right now, yes.
Okay, so the personnel or the board policy, that's not going to be?
The personnel, there may be. So,
I would prefer personnel, I mean, if that's an option.
okay. All right. Then I would put myself on there. John, if that's okay with you?
The chair is automatically an ad hoc member of the standing committees. You're on there unofficially by bylaws.
Okay. All right, so we're good to go then.
We need to have, it's a non-voting position, so you can be
We
on
need
there, but
one
if
more?
you're going to fill it for one more.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
the board policy is that the president is an unofficial member of the committees, not the chair. So that's how the policy reads right now.
so I could be,
No, my response was that didn't deal with being the chair. My response dealt with voting. He's ex officio member, he can't vote. He's there to observe.
Mr. Chair, the particular policy in question does not, there's no board policy that provides for the chair to be an ex officio member of the committees. The president is.
okay?
So if you've done that in practice, that's
Okay.
fine. Of course, ex officio does mean no voting. So it's your call whether you want to be a voting member or just attend. The problem with having the chair be the ex officio member of committees, you run into a Open Meetings Act problem, and that's probably why it's not in your policy, because then you could have 4 members, and it would have to be conducted pursuant to the Open Meetings Act with appropriate notice. Having said that, most of your committees are noticed out,
Ex officio.
but it is not, just having 4 members in the same place implicates the Open Meetings Act.
The president isn't a member of the Board of Trustees, and it's an ex officio member, so I'm not sure. My understanding is just, well, wait a minute. Let me finish before you shut me off, would you please?
Go ahead, John.
Well, I don't need a sideshow going on. I'm trying to talk to the chair, and I would appreciate it if you'd indulge me and allow me to do that. I think that the chairperson is the presiding officer of this organization. I don't believe the intent is to have the chairperson associated as a member in the standing committees. That puts the chair into a very awkward position in dealing with the reports of the committees when they come up, particularly if it's a report that he's been a participant in. And you saw you saw the debacle that we had with the ad hoc committee. And will resist strongly repeating that. Thank you.
Well, thank you, John. I will, at this point in time, I will hold off on appointing another member for that committee. Okay? All right. Personnel Committee. Trustee Wolcott, would you like to chair that?
Sure.
Okay. Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Okay. And Trustee Dotson?
Yes.
Okay, the Board Policy Committee. Trustee Wolcott, would you like to chair that?
I'd rather not chair, but I'll be on it.
Okay. Now pursuant to what Trustee Daly was talking, I will hold off until we research that a little bit more. I will hold off on one of the positions. Trustee Reyes, would you like a position on the policy board?
Yes, that'd be fine.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
We didn't vote on 1.07, and we haven't voted on 1.08 either, but we just finished 1.08. It says for action, so the board has
To approve?
to approve.
Okay. I would entertain a motion for 1.07, the appointment of the ACCT representative of John Daly.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just that I accept this because I'm currently serving on the MCCA board, and I do not intend to continue that appointment. So this is, for me, this is, as I enter the last 2 years of this term, this is a logical step, and it's one that I want to have wanted to do all along, so I appreciate the confidence in which the board has in nominating me for this position.
Okay, any more discussion? Seeing none? Jordan, could we do a roll call vote, please?
Roll call vote on the motion by trustee Reyes to appoint trustee Daly to be ACCT representative. Trustee Wolcott seconded it. Trustee Dotson.
Yes.
Trustee Wolcott.
Yes.
Trustee Reyes.
Yes.
Trustee Daly.
Yes?
Trustee Miller.
Yes.
Trustee Swanson.
Yes.
That's 6 ayes and 0 nays. Trustee Daly is the representative.
Okay, yes, trustee Reyes.
I'd like to move acceptance of the appointments to the standing committees for 1.08.
Okay, I have a motion to accept. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a second. Any discussion?
Just for clarification, so who is the one who motioned? Trustee Reyes, trustee Miller seconded?
Yep.
For finance audit, it would be, the chair would be trustee Daly. Trustee Reyes would also be on that committee. Trustee Swanson stated that he'll hold off on appointing a third member until there's further research. Then for personnel committee, trustee Wolcott would chair that, trustee Miller and trustee Dotson. And then for board policy, all I have right now is trustee Reyes would be there until you get further research.
And we have trustee Wolcott.
Trustee Wolcott, okay. All right.
Okay, any discussion?
Yes. So
Trustee
for-
Dotson.
Thank you. For the board policy committee,
Yes.
would the potential chairperson possibly, is that something that you're looking into, or are you just holding off on that for now?
On the personnel committee,
No, the board policy.
I'm holding off on that now,
Okay.
right now. Okay, let's go to a vote. Oh, did you have something
I was
further?
just gonna say, but no decision, nothing will be made until we come back for our next meeting, next
Correct.
month? Okay.
And trustee Reyes would be chairing board policy committee, or you hold, because right now I only have just both the trustees. There wasn't an announcement of who's going to chair that.
Mr. Chair, I'll chair it just until you find somebody else.
Okay.
Okay.
The full ones can. The personnel committee can. And I'll make a decision soon.
All right, on the motion for the appointments to the Finance Audit Committee, Personnel Committee, and Board Policy Committee, trustee Dotson,
Yes.
trustee Wolcott,
Yes.
trustee Reyes,
Yes.
trustee Daly,
Yes?
trustee Miller,
Yes.
and Chair Swanson.
Yes.
That's 6 ayes and 0 nays. The committees that have been appointed have been approved.
Okay, let's see, 1.09, I need to replace trustee Everman. I have not made up my mind on that. We need to check on policy again on that.
Mr. Chair, I move that this be postponed until the board makes a decision on the future of the ad hoc committee.
Okay.
Support.
All right, we have a move to postpone what was that, 1.09. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor?
I have.
Oh, I'm sorry,
discussion on
John.
that. That's all right. I think we just need to, with the new board and a new direction, we need to be sure the way we want and take a look. The ad hoc committee is appropriately named, and it's ad hoc for the previous board. And so if we want to continue with it, that's fine. But my belief is that the board should be involved in many of the decisions related to the finalization of hiring a president, and that involvement should be direct. And for that reason, the Ad hoc committee may have served a purpose, but that purpose is, I believe, past at this point.
Well, John, I'm not sure I agree with that, but I see what you're saying. We're going to table that anyways till the next meeting, so. Now, we've got to vote on tabling that, correct?
So the motion that was made was to postpone it until the future of the ad hoc committee is determined, which is not the next meeting. So you need to determine whether there's an amendment on the floor to modify the request or go forward with postponing until the future of the ad hoc committee is determined.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'd suggest that the tabling of the motion will simply take it to our next regularly scheduled meeting. And that I would believe that the appropriate thing for us to do would be to have the future of that process discussed at the next regularly scheduled meeting. And then once we've made that decision, then take the appropriate action subsequent to that decision. So I would suggest that we leave the motion as it is. Made.
And just postpone it, correct?
Postpone it.
Till next month.
Until the future of the ad hoc committee has been identified.
Okay. All right, any more discussion on that? Okay. All in favor of tabling it till next month?
Aye.
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 Aye as well. Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, we have 1.10, designation of co-assistant secretaries by the Secretary, Trustee Miller.
Yes, I would like to continue with Diane and with Jordan.
Okay. Mr. Daly, did you have?
I think it's, let me collect my thoughts here. So we're talking about renewal of 2 existing positions, and I understand through the hiring process with Diane functioning as assistant to the secretary. My understanding, and I'd like to get it clear, is the board coordinator doesn't work for the secretary, but rather is actually appointed by the president. And I want to just be sure that I don't have a problem with 1 assistant secretary. I do once we go beyond the number 1. I believe that he's a separate, I don't believe that this motion would cover him.
Well, I believe that Jordan is the board coordinator.
That's correct.
Correct?
Yes, Jordan Kaiser is the board relations coordinator, and some of his duties comprise the duties of the assistant secretary. He does much more than the duties of the assistant secretary. The duties of the assistant secretary are pursuant to board policy described as duties of the secretary, which the secretary that designates to other people, including the assistant secretary. And Jordan and myself have shared those duties.
You may have shared. I'm talking about administrative structure. And my understanding, I don't understand, okay, explain this to me like I'm 6. Okay, you've got 2 people here with 2 separate bosses, and you're coming to us saying that the secretary is going to appoint both of them. I can't understand that, so someone please explain that to me in words that a 6-year-old can understand, because to me, and this has been the consistent way through here, was the appointment of the board coordinator was the sole purview of the president. If things were in good order, we were asked, but we didn't have to be asked for that. And the secretary is different. The other thing is that I want to be careful here because the way I read the Michigan Community College Act, I don't have it in front of me, is it entitles us to an assistant, a secretary, and it's not clear to me that that's more than one. So I want to be sure that if we're I don't want to make it the water any muddier than it is.
Well, you've just stated that Jordan is he works at the pleasure of the president.
Correct.
All right, so technically, Trustee Miller does not have to appoint him. He's hired by the president.
Okay. So in this motion, we're only talking about this one position.
So let me explain. So Mr. Kaiser does certain things as in his employment at the, pursuant to the, working in the office of the president, that includes duties that would comprise assistant secretary. I also do some of those duties and we share them. If he was not under contract with the office of the president anymore, there would just be another individual who would be hired to be a board relations coordinator, and then the duties between myself and him would be, again, shared. So it's the duties, you should think of the assistant secretary as a bundle of duties, not as an employment contract.
Well, I appreciate the lesson.
So
The-
administrative
let me-
assistant is also, under the board policy, I've been hired as an administrative assistant, which serves at the, pursuant to the secretary hiring, and that's how I got employed. But also, the duties are also, I'm able to do some of the duties that the secretary would like me to do. But that is, I am in a different employment situation as Jordan is, but we do share the duties. That's why it's appropriate to have co-assistant secretaries, so that there's no confusion about our ability to assist the secretary in her job.
I would disagree with you respectfully. Having two masters that can appoint you to do different things than your predecessor, and I talked several times about that difficulty in the board coordinator's position, where you had two agencies, two people appointing them to do different things. I am curious, though, about, for the first 3 years I was here, we hired, the board coordinator did everything, okay? And we had, I don't understand when you talk about shared responsibilities and shared authorities, what are those shared responsibilities? Because that's a whole new person. You're a full-time employee, correct?
No, sir, I'm part-time employee.
You're part-time?
Yes.
Okay. But if we have.
Good evening, it is now 6:40. We're closing at 7 o'clock. Please docket the notes for your
Let's go.
Thank you for
What? I mean, I don't understand. We got along fine, as far as I know, without a board, even without an assistant. And now we're getting into, and I still am concerned about having two people at the college that can task Jordan to do things. I mean, to me, that's confusion.
Well, I'm sorry. Yes.
I don't think that would be the result. So there's, the roles and responsibilities are intended to stay exactly as they are now. So Diane, I think the question is, do we need to have a designation different than what we operated under last year? Because we didn't have a co-assistant secretary. We had you as the assistant secretary, Jordan as the board coordinator. It does seem to me as though we could continue to operate under that structure and just redesignate Diane as assistant secretary to the secretary.
The reason it came up is because Jordan was designated to be an assistant secretary. We wanted to maintain him in that role so that he could sign on behalf of the secretary. There's certain things he does
For
that
the
I don't do.
signatory.
Yeah, so I mean, that's
So
why
he
we
must
wanted.
have been designated that at some point?
Yes.
Then before, okay.
Yeah.
So it's to allow him to continue to sign the motions.
Yeah, the board coordinator was always acted as the assistant secretary, so he had the signatory powers at that point. It wasn't until we hired an assistant, the board hired an assistant secretary, the secretary hired an assistant secretary, that this came into question. But we have always had him as, but Candace can't appoint him to a job that he reports to you. So she can't appoint him to that job. Part of his responsibilities can be to act as a assistant secretary, but she can't appoint him to that job, because if he loses that job tomorrow, then whoever takes that job then takes over the position.
And that new person would need to be redesignated as,
Yes.
as an
by you.
assistant secretary.
Yes, by you.
So I can designate someone assistant secretary? I don't.
They're your employee.
So,
He's
well,
your employee, because you could tell us no.
To designate him
You can
for
tell
the
us
board?
no. If you can tell us no, then you can tell us yes.
So by virtue of holding the position, he automatically has the authorization from the board to act as assistant secretary?
That's the way it's been for.
To sign
In
documentation?
that case,
Okay.
and that's, I know, that was,
Then I don't think there's any change needed. If he never required any authorization from the board in the past to have signatory authority, then I think the only thing we need in this motion is the reappointment of the Assistant Secretary, Diane, by Trustee Miller.
Okay.
Yeah.
that's fine with me, as long as it's clear that Jordan is still doing his
Yes.
work that he
Yeah,
performs, which he does
it's-
very well.
We're arguing over, it's going to be the same either way, so Trustee Miller, you would remove Jordan from that,
Okay.
correct?
All
Okay,
right.
all righty. And that's not for action, so let's move on to 1.11, the appointment of a parliamentarian, and that's, my appointment will be Diane Cotter. So 1.12.
I have a question on.
Oh, I'm sorry, Art.
On that appointment.
I'm sorry.
Is that an additional responsibility to being the assistant secretary, and does that come with additional costs? Or how does this work? I'm asking the chair.
It will be no additional cost.
Okay.
Any other questions on that?
I think we do need a parliamentarian, there's absolutely no question about that. I just want to be clear that we all agree on essentially, I guess, what would be like a position description for what that person does.
Okay. Well, is that something that we can come up with, or?
Robert's rules, basically a parliamentarian helps the chair and boards to understand what the parliamentary procedure is. I'm sure there's a definition of parliamentarian in there, or there's a nationwide organization. I can certainly provide that to the board, but basically it is to advise as to parliamentary Robert's Rules of Procedure, and in this case also board policy as they relate to meetings, but it is just a role of advice. It is not a role of making the decisions. The decisions remain that of the chair and ultimately of the board if they appeal a ruling of the chair.
It's a role, so it is strictly a role of advice to the board.
Absolutely.
Good, so that would mean that the past practice of where you wrote ghost-written regulations and registers for one member would stop, because it wouldn't be representing the full board, you'd be representing the entire membership, or an individual member, is that right?
That has nothing to do with serving as parliamentarian, Trustee Daley.
This works.
All righty, 1.12, college-wide Zoom phone system. It's a purchase award. And,
Randy Shapel,
there
the
we go.
acting IT Vice President of Information Technology, will present the proposal.
Good evening, everybody. Sorry, give me 1 second here. I had the page before I stood up, and then I lost it. Just give me 1 second here. If there's, going to put the slides up, Jordan? Are we putting those up? Not tonight? Okay, so the college is moving forward with, putting before the board a purchase award for action for the replacement of the college's telecommunications and phone systems. The college today has over 1,100 phone numbers. We have 800 employee assigned numbers. We have physical desks with phones. We have web clients that allow our employees to connect remotely. We have common area phones that you would find in this room or down the hallway, over 350 of those, and we have 60 call centers at the college. So the college is still using phones pretty heavily. I know a lot of students today like to use texting, but phones are something we're still using and still using at a very high level here at the college, and it's a very important system for us. And what we're doing is this is a modernization. And a lot of this has to do with the federal and state regulations regarding E911 location services. Just to put this in a kind of a simple light, when you call 911 from your home, the 911 is able to see that you're calling from a specific address location, so emergency services can come right to you. Makes sense. This is something we need to have. Unfortunately, when you have the Mott campus, for instance, we have 1 million square feet of building space and one address, right? So when you send stuff to us, it's one address. So that's how that message goes out. And the public safety responders need to coordinate with our public safety, which is great, and they do that today. That is what we do. But the intent of this new requirements is that in that call that is placed from one of our campus phones to 911, it actually gives that location information. So for instance, we'll say MMB room 2202 or something along those lines. So we actually are able to provide additional information, which you can think of it right away. That helps speed up that entire process. What we're attempting to do is get people who call 911 the help they need faster. That's what it's all about. Minimize any mistakes that go along the way and get them where they need to go. Now, to be clear, 911 may still call our public safety office to do response. That's totally normal, happens all the time. But if, say, an ambulance needs a roll, it'll know which building to go to. It gets there faster. That's where all that really comes from. Outside of that, there's also requirements about voice over IP, and that's what allows us to use the phones from our computers and and what happens with that is that we also have to locate those devices. So if you were, say, at home and you're using your college phone and you needed to call 911 and you use that instead of your home phone or your cell phone, we want those responders to go to the correct address information. And so you think about these different things that we have that just happen automatically at our normal homes that just don't work the same in a huge campus like we have, right? And this is about fixing that and making that a faster response system as far as that works. That is what we're, so again, a lot of this, what we're doing is modernization is to address those needs. But there's other things that come along with that as well. It provides public safety with the ability to listen in on 911 calls when they go out from the college. So they could actually hear, oh, something's going on, and they can listen in on the call. They can actually even come into the phone line, give advice or give guidance. They can't stop the call. They're not meant to be in the middle. They're there like as an aside, if you think so, because what we don't want to do is get in the way of someone calling 911 to 911. You don't want to be in the way, but if you could help the process, that's an event that's going to help the things. It also has integration into our campus PA system, like you guys heard tonight. This is the type of thing that we need to be able to do to help public safety react faster on campus and simpler. What we don't want to do is have 14 buttons and 12 switches to send a message on campus. Nobody wants that. Public safety doesn't need that. When there's an emergency going on, we need to streamline our reactions and get things done faster. And this is the type of tool and solution set that will help us provide those types of things. In addition to that, there's improved service for our call centers for the different areas, these people who take phone calls for the college and help our students get to where they need to go and help them get signed up for classes and answer these questions. These are things that our students depend on, and this is going to provide a better service quality for those individuals as well. you know, there's a number of different things that are kind of in here, but there is a cost, right? This is one of those things. There is a cost associated with this. We're moving to features we do not have, right? We're picking up substantial location information. We're having this is a significant increase as far as the abilities of the phone system, as well as, unfortunately, the cost. There's a cost related to this as well. And, you know, some of the costs that are involved with this, something else that's a little different is that it's not just, obviously there's a cost increase, but there's also the, it's counted by employee, for instance. For instance, if we have 50 more people that we need to assign phone numbers to, the cost will scale up, right? Just like we need to get more phones, we need to do that. There's also scaling down. And so we provided estimates based on 800, which is a pretty decent number. But if we needed to say we go through very prosperous times, we got a bunch of students coming back, we need to offer more classes, well, of course, that number's going to change. So I don't want to allude to that we have a static number forever. And so there's some, the costs are actually variable. The other thing that'll have to be as part of this is the replacement of the emergency phones on campus. The college has, I think, 86 at last count emergency phones on campus. Those range in age from anywhere from 15 to 5 years old, and those devices will need to be upgraded through this process to work with the new system. But that's a good thing because what we don't want to do is we have devices that are out in the cold. Sometimes they're in a hallway, of course, and that's nicer. That's a lot easier to deal with. But we want these devices to work and have consistency, not have issues with those, when people need them, because that's when they're needed. They're needed in those emergency circumstances. We brought forward a purchase request today for your consideration. We're looking at a 7-year lock-in for this. The advantage of doing a long-term contract is we lock in the prices, and we're able to control those and forecast those a lot better. And that helps us go through these. It's $1.31 million over 7 years. The year we're asking to sign now, but there's a 6-month grace period. And the reason for that essentially is that it gives us time to turn up. These types of systems are complicated. We have to not only deploy them, but then we have to get everybody trained in how to use them, right? So this isn't something you flip on one day and you do. So within these costs is there's actually costs to help Zoom have us train and help our folks get up to speed on these technologies. And so that's going to be an important part of this as well. And that's why, this is why this is going to take months. Right now we're targeting, we'll really start, assuming we get things done, get signed, February and March will be kind of more experimentation, and then we'll roll into the actual starting replacing numbers and getting people on the new system as we roll into the summer months, and with the goal of being completely finished by August through that, so we're ready for the fall semester. So just so we're clear, during that time, there's no additional charge for the service because it's kind of like a get started period for the college as well. And I want to make one note on this, a couple notes actually. One, this was something that we budgeted. This wasn't something that came out of nowhere. We didn't get the number exactly right because this was a year ago when we did the budgeting. We didn't have all the numbers, but we were pretty reasonably in there. And we'll make a coordinated effort into next year's budgets as well. In addition to that, this is the type of thing that, we only have so many people to do things. Because when you think about it, we're like, well, why are we wasting 6 months doing these? Well, we're finishing multiple projects here on campus. We have other initiatives, big network projects. Same people do those same things, so we have to balance that service as we move forward. And so we'll do our best to move that forward. And if we can have things finished in in July, we'll do that too. This isn't something we're going to hold back from. It's just a matter of getting to everything we need to get to. And so we're trying to give you a really good estimate on what you should expect from us. So. Is there any questions?
Trustee Daly?
First of all, job well done.
Thank you.
I read the purchase award report, and I was briefed on it last week, and I thought you all did an exceptional job. President Richardson Snell, thank you very much. Okay, it makes it a lot easier for me. It's in language a 6-year-old can understand. And so that helps give me preparation, and I believe the rest of my board members, in being able to understand a little more of the technical jargon. One question I do have is, the last sentence, you talk 7-year projected cost of solutions is $1.31 million over 7 years. What about annual maintenance costs?
That's included within that. So yeah, I mean, there can be, I don't want to hide facts. I mean, phones break on campus, right? There's going to be things that break, and that, of course, isn't included within that, but that's going to be all the software costs and all the licensing that we need for those as well, so.
Okay.
All right.
Fine.
Any other questions?
Move approval?
I have a motion to
Second.
approve and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none. Jordan, could we take a roll call vote on that, please?
Trustee Daly moved to approve item 1.12, college-wide Zoom phone system purchase award, with Trustee Reyes second. Trustee Dotson.
Yes.
Trustee Wolcott.
Yes.
Trustee Reyes.
Yes.
Trustee Daly.
Yes.
Trustee Miller.
Yes.
And Chair Swanson.
Yes.
That's 6 ayes and 0 nays. Item 1.12 has been approved.
1.13, Board's designation of signing designee for school election coordinating agreement. And it's February, that meeting is on February 5th, I believe. And I would entertain a motion to let the interim president go and do that for us.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, I have a motion and I have support. Any discussion? Jordan, could you do a roll call, please?
Trustee Daly motion or move to approve item 1.13, designation of signing designee for school election coordinating agreement for February 5th, 2025 meeting. Trustee Miller seconded the motion. Trustee Dotson.
Yes.
Trustee Wolcott.
Yes.
Trustee Reyes.
Yes.
Trustee Daly.
Yes.
Trustee Miller.
Yes.
And Chair Swanson.
Yes.
That's 6 ayes and 0 nays. Item 1.13 has been approved.
Item 1.14, amendment to Butzel Long engagement letter to provide legal services as interim board attorney.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion. I just added something on the end of it. I make a motion to approve the retention of Butzel Long to provide services as interim board attorney pursuant to the engagement letter dated January 22nd, 2025, in addition to the law firm's retention for the presidential contract offer. This will be for a 90-day period only.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Support.
I have support. Discussion? Mr. Daly.
I have significant reservations about this. The first thing is that we talk about we're going to function as a new board in a new era, and then we turn around at our January board meeting, first time we're all in Pleasant, and we're doing exactly the same thing historically we've done. I am very uncomfortable with one candidate being stuck out there and it's a yes, no. Okay, when we're making decisions like this, particularly for this amount of money, which it's not clear to me, how much exactly we're paying them, because I have on one hand, this says $7.75 an hour, as I understand it. Is that correct? That's their standard rate.
I believe it's 25% less than that, which I believe would come out to $5.85, if I'm doing the math right. Somewhere right around there.
That's even the 585 is an exceptionally high amount. And I've never talked with these people at this level. I mean, I talked to an attorney looking at retaining an attorney several weeks ago, And first of all, the Bar Association in Genesee County has over 400 members. It's hard for me to believe that we have to go to a firm outside of the county in order to achieve legal representation. I'm extremely uncomfortable with that. The second thing is, for that amount of money, I mean, I was looking at retaining an attorney that had that 6 months before had a case before the U.S. Supreme Court, and for $375. So this is a lot of money, and particularly when you consider in all probability you're going to have commute costs embedded in this. So tack every meeting that we have down here, tack on 2 hours, hour down, hour up, hour back. And I don't understand why we continually go through this circus of having one person, one organization, one contractor that is put out in front of us without any reason for it, and we're forced into a yes/no. This board should be looking at least 2 to 3 candidates, and then from those 2 to 3 candidates, after interviewing them publicly, making a decision on which one we want. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. That's the way every board has done it.
And I understand that, John. The cost per hour is
ridiculous.
Gives you heartburn. The way I look at it, I don't want to go without a board attorney. The last board, we went, close to a year without a board attorney, and I don't want to do that again.
Well,
now we can, please let me finish. We can expedite the process for looking for a permanent board attorney. I have no problem with that. We would have to, we'd have to get with HR. Now, there's a problem with the bylaws that states the board attorney represents the college also. That, I think, is a problem. There may be a way around it, and we need to talk about that. But I just assume would not go without an attorney.
I understand your concern, but that's an end justifies the means argument. And I just can't, I can't go along with this because of the fact that as your treasurer, the board, I believe, selected me, I hope, because you thought that I was the one that had the most background and experience in handling, in doing financial management in an organization. This, I'm telling you, as your treasurer, from my perspective, this is a terrible decision if you go with this. At $7.75 an hour, it is an absurdity. We could resurrect F. Lee Bailey and bring him out here for that.
And it was just $5.85. I'm sorry, John, go ahead.
And then you can, I don't believe the bylaw, the stipulation that you're talking about applies to an interim attorney. It speaks only to the board attorney. And that bylaw has been in place, I believe, since '06, and it hasn't been a problem until then. If that's really true and that's really correct, and we really have to follow this, then, Madam President, you have a problem with the appointment that you made to the college, with the college attorney. That sword cuts both ways. And this was not a problem before when we searched for an attorney. And so this is an interim attorney position. I believe that this person or persons, one, they come on, they should be for a significantly lower amount of money. $375. Two, this should be a limit on this with an understanding it's not going to be renewed past that limit, 90 days. And three, the third point is that they will be involved with us. One of the reasons that it's important for us to bring an interim on board now is to help in the search process for the permanent attorney. As such, they're not going to be allowed to be in that search process for the permanent position. So that's my 3 reasons, and I would tell you again, as your treasurer, I don't think this is a prudent use of the college's money at $7.75 an hour.
Mr. Chair,
Excuse me,
Mr. Chair. If we send out RFPs, how long do you think before we can get the list of?
No, that was a question I had also. How do we get around this process to expedite getting a permanent attorney, or even an interim, for that matter?
I think you deal with it in the same, I think first of all, you do both things at the same time with the permanent and the interim. I don't believe that developing a very brief package to put out there would take that long. It's pretty straightforward. It's not like this is the first time we've ever had an attorney here.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but the RFP, it reads like a construction RFP. What do we need to go to redo that? Yeah.
I have a
Kimberly,
question. Sorry, I just have a quick question. I totally agree. I wanted to ask also about, had we received any other bids? And so I think I have my answer for that. But then also in the letter, it says, under the new amendment engagement, you have retained us to provide advice and services. I don't like the word advice from attorneys, so I think that should be counsel, maybe, as opposed to advice.
Okay.
thank you. Kimberly Delesh, the purchasing director, can answer questions regarding the minimum amount of time that or just so they understand their bookends, they could elect to leave the bid out for as long as they choose. But what is the minimum amount of time in accordance with our policy that we would put a bid out for attorneys to respond?
The RFP is currently written, and we can put it out for 10 days. That's the minimum amount that I would suggest for something of this caliber.
That RFP, that has been redone from what I've looked at in the past?
If there's something specific that you're referring to, I'm happy to go ahead and make any adjustments that are needed. But the last RFP was written specifically for a board attorney, which had some of the information in it that was required, such as the types of law that we expected them to be able to provide. So.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
So, excuse me, so that would be the same RFP that was used for the last search?
Correct.
Which resulted in?
Garen Lukow Miller.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Trustee
Thank you
Wolcott?
so much.
Yeah, now hearing that, I would like to rescind my motion on item 1.14. And then just hold off until we get the RFPs back, and then we can just go from there.
So we would be a month down the road. It would be at the next meeting that we would do interviews? Or do we hold a special meeting for
No,
that?
I think if you put it out, we get it out quickly. Is it okay for me to talk?
Yes.
Okay. If we get it out quickly and do the response, if a 10-day response is adequate, that's 2 weeks. I'm not a big advocate of specials, but in this one case, if we had to run a special to do it, so be it, or we get it out at the February meeting. But I think that obtaining it within the next 4 weeks is going to be reasonable, and it's certainly going to be a lot easier to get that through, and there will be a lot less bloodshed over that. That this is not the way. Stepping in with an appointment that we have no idea why. What's magic about this firm? What's the return on investment? It just doesn't make sense, and we send a terrible message. If we go down that path, we send a terrible message to the residents of this county, to the administration, to the faculty, it's just not a good, it's not a good investment. So,
Well, no, I understand. So, Trustee Wolcott, you rescinded,
Yes.
so there is no motion. So I guess we move on, correct?
If the sense of the board will allow the trustee to rescind the motion, then she may rescind it. They don't have to vote on it, but if someone objects, the motion could still be on the floor.
And with HR, we can get an RFP that makes sense out in, within 2 weeks' time, have the interested parties.
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Reyes?
At 2 weeks puts us at February 11th, which the
We're going to
board
be
will
gone.
The board will be in DC, so the decision would have to be made whether we wanted to do interviews on the 24th or thereafter, just to give you a sense of where they are. I mean, the RFP coming back in 2 weeks is fine, and then that gives them a few days to go over those prior to us needing to meet. We could meet, I don't know, as soon as the 17th or 18th, if we were going to do a special meeting. If not, then we could do it on the 24th.
Okay. So that's rescinded, and if we could have HR put out the RFP, and
That's 1.15, isn't it? No, I know.
that's 1.14.
No, 1.15 is to authorize the process, which would be the RFP.
Oh, very sorry.
Nope, not a problem. I just wanted to make sure we weren't
Yep.
double doing.
All right, so I would entertain a motion to
moved.
have the HR put out a RFP.
Second.
So we have a,
Who made the motion?
Reyes.
Thank you. Trustee Dotson seconded it? Thank you.
so the motion is to have HR put out the RFP, and when we get the interested parties back, when we get back from the conference, then we will look at if we want to have a special meeting then, or wait until the following, I think there's only a week, was it about a week's time? Yeah. So, okay, any more discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I just want to raise the point, would there be consideration to amending that motion to state the RFP that was used in the previous search for a permanent board attorney?
Whatever they come up with, we're authorizing them to do.
Yeah.
Well, there was discussion on the same one, or, okay.
Yes, it'd be the same one.
Mr. Chair, just to clarify, point 1.15 is for a new board attorney, not an interim. So the motion relates to putting an RFP out for a new board attorney. Is that correct?
That was the motion. Okay, any more discussion? Yes, well, that goes to the policy committee to change that. I think the main thing is to get a board attorney on board first, and then we will we'll deal with the policy at a later meeting. Is there any problem with that? Okay, all right. So, Jordan, would you read the motion again, please?
I think Diane had it.
Oh, well, or Diane.
I should have the motion. Trustee Reyes voted, or moved that we authorize to have the request for proposal for a new board attorney sent out by HR within 2 weeks in its current form, and following the, and then the board will interview candidates upon the availability of the board trustees in, after the ACCT conference. Is that correct, Mr. Reyes?
Okay. We'll bring it to a vote. Oh, yes.
Just one small point of clarification. The purchasing department handles the RFP and not human resources. So please make sure that's correct in the motion.
My apologies.
That's okay.
May I amend the, your motion, trustee Reyes, to say purchasing?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, Jordan, let's do a roll call vote on that.
Roll call vote. Trustee Dotson.
Yes.
Trustee Wolcott.
Yes.
Trustee Reyes.
Yes.
Trustee Daly.
Yes.
Trustee Miller.
Yes.
And Trustee Chair Swanson.
Yes.
That's 6 ayes and 0 nays. The motion passes.
Okay, item 11, excuse me. Board-generated ideas. Trustee Dotson, do you have? As a matter of fact, let's pause for a second. Is that where that normally is in the?
No, it's usually towards the end.
That's what I thought.
This, the board agenda is reflective of the change to when the board approved the changes or the amended policy for the order of business, and that's where it was placed.
Okay. Any board-generated ideas? Seeing none, we're going to move along to the president's report. Interim President Snell.
Thank you, Chairman Swanson. I would like to open with some special personnel announcements that we have recently announced within the college. First, I would like to announce the appointment of Robert Matthews, a 27-year Mott Community College member of both staff and the administration, who has been named the role of Vice President of Student, Academic, and Workforce Success. Can we give Robert a round of applause? I'm very excited about Robert's appointment to bring together our academic divisions along with student success as we focus this year on the creation of an extraordinary student experience. And bringing our workforce and our academic together is going to allow us to address any areas where we may have duplication in process and in systems and in other areas in which we manage the two divisions. So the new division brings together also student success services, and this will allow us to build synergistic advantages between workforce and student success along with our academic division. The realignment contributes to our development of the support of all students' pathway to that living wage paying job, which is what where we are all focused on. So again, congratulations, Robert, and we look forward to further development in the area. And the second announcement I would like to make is Marcus Matthews, who has joined the Office of the President as Vice President and Chief of Staff in supporting the operations of the Office of the President. Thank you, Marcus. With that, I will turn it over to Christy Dowley to announce our other new hires for the month.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. It's my pleasure to introduce the new hires from November, December, and January. Our first new hire is Eric Owens. He was hired as a groundskeeper in our maintenance and operational area. Prior to Mott, Eric worked at AutoZone as a parts sales manager, managing the parts counter and the inventory experience. Next, we have Alina Brown. She was hired as a public safety officer in our Department of Public Safety. Alina worked as a student worker here at Mott in the Public Safety Department, patrolling the campus before being hired as a full-time public safety officer. Next, we have Kathleen Remender, who was hired as a purchasing specialist in our Accounting and Finance division. Before coming to Mott, Kathleen worked at Kettering University as the grant and contract specialist, managing financial aspects of post-award administration. Next, we have Sarah Gleason, who was also hired into our public safety department as a school resource officer. Sarah previously worked at Kellogg Community College as a center assistant, proctoring placement testing and working with students. Before that, Sarah was a road deputy with Calhoun County Sheriff's Department doing road patrols, traffic enforcement, and other public safety duties. Next, we have Joseph Luna II. We hired him as the director of our Fab Lab in our Workforce and Economic Development Division. Before coming to Mott, Joseph worked at General Motors as a process engineer, supporting the production of battery modules for GM's electric vehicles. And some of the next ones that we have don't have pictures associated with them because they were hired in January and we have not had a new hire orientation yet. But our next hire is Teresa Van Etten Tate. She was hired as an adult education instructor in our Workforce and Economic Development Division. Teresa worked at Orchard View Innovative Learning Center as an instructor prior to Mott. She planned and implemented an English curriculum for grades 9 through 12 using a project-based learning framework. The next hire is Christopher Killian, who was hired as a custodian in our Maintenance and Operations Department. Before coming to Mott, Christopher worked at Professional Auto Collision as a detailer, cleaning cards inside and out, and polishing and waxing. Next, we have Leslie Cicelo, who was hired as a payroll coordinator in our Human Resources Department. Previously, Leslie was the payroll coordinator for Lake Orion Community Schools. There, she processed biweekly payroll and retirement for approximately 1,000 employees. And next, we have Jeanette Asadi, who was hired as our librarian, archives, and technical services in our Library Services Department. Before coming to Mott, Jeanette worked at Oakland County Parks as the media manager, communications, and marketing assistant. There, she maintained the database of photos for the department, including uploading, cataloging, and archiving. And finally, we have Yomi Oniide, who was hired as a financial aid analyst and reconciliation specialist in financial aid. Prior to Mott, Yomi was a senior business analyst at Pinkerton, where he created data flows to illustrate the flow of information between various stakeholders. That concludes my report. Do you have any questions?
Thank you.
Next, Robert Matthews will provide an update on, report on celebrating employee and student success.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and trustees. Excited this evening to share with you success of one of our students, Heidi Kunelis. And actually, Heidi was here this evening, but she told me she might have to leave. And I believe I saw her walk out just a little while ago, but we'd absolutely like to celebrate her accomplishments nevertheless. So Heidi is a student in our Gateway to College program. Gateway to College is a part of the Achieving the Dream network. And Achieving the Dream is a group of over 300 community colleges that are all committed to innovative practices and evidence-based practice to make sure that students succeed. And so Heidi applied and is one of 8 students across the country who has been selected as an Achieving the Dream scholar. So even though she's not here, we should applaud that. They select eight students each year. Heidi, who went through a rigorous process, there were 2 interviews involved. There was an essay that she wrote and submitted, and she was selected. She will have the opportunity to next month attend the Achieving the Dream conference in Philadelphia, where she will have an opportunity to read her essay. In addition to that, she will be receiving, and they have not revealed to us yet, it's supposed to be a surprise, the amount of the monetary award, but she will be receiving that monetary award in Philadelphia as well. So the next item I'd like to share with you is an update regarding our enrollment for the winter semester. Very pleased to share with you that it is due to a collective effort of faculty, staff, and administrators here at the college that we are continuing an upward trajectory with our enrollment. And for the winter, our student head count is just over 6,500, 6,503 to be exact, which represents a 7.4% increase from the comparison year of 2022. Contact hours, even more importantly, are up at just above 66,000, and that represents a 6.8% increase. And you'll remember that our comparison year is 2022, but we also wanted to give you the year-over-year comparison. And so you will see that there's an increase from the year-over-year comparison as well, 1.6% increase in head count, and then a 3.0% increase in contact hours. A couple of things of note. You all know that we have been doing the mini-mester, which is the short term that starts over the Christmas holiday, really to give some new opportunities for students to be able to accelerate completion of certain courses. And so this mini-mester that just took place, 13 of the 14 sections actually ran, and at a fill rate of 81%, which was very good. In addition to that, we saw an increase of 64 students over the enrollment in the last mini-mester. So we count that as definitely a positive as well. So we're seeing some good things there. And Al has told me that he'd like to see us do some more with mini-mesters. And I think there are some tremendous opportunities related to enrollment if we can figure out how to do that. Lastly, I'd just like to say that, again, it's a team effort. It takes all of us to contribute to stabilizing and continue to increase enrollment. There are some special folks that I like to give a shout out to, because there is a team that meets regularly, like every morning during our enrollment period. So the enrollment huddle team, I don't know if any of them are here, but please know that we applaud you. and the admissions and outreach team as well. We definitely want to applaud their work. So I'll move on to the next slide, please. So just wanted to give you a quick update on the medical legal death investigation program. You all remember that a few months ago, this opportunity was introduced to us to explore the feasibility of launching a program here at the college. And so we have been doing some work on this. The update really is that we did identify or have identified a subject matter expert who has submitted a proposal to us to assist us with development. That proposal is under review at present, and we are really excited to note that we were figuring out how many opportunities there are across the local community and other areas throughout the state. And just last week, Genesee County has started to post opportunities related to medical death investigators and crime scene investigators. So we're seeing some really good synergies. We do have someone from the Genesee County Medical Department, in addition to our own medical director who is supporting us in this effort. There are very, very few programs in Michigan. The closest that we've been able to find is one in Ohio. And what we have also noted is that many of these programs are designed so that they allow individuals who have experience either in law enforcement, healthcare, or emergency services to earn this training over short periods of time. And so we're trying to figure out how to make sure that this works and can serve those who are best suited to pursue these opportunities. So I would look forward to coming back to you when we have this ready to launch, but I am anticipating that the first half of this year, we'll have it ironed out, and with the opportunity to try to offer our first cohort in the upcoming fall. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Next, we have Dale Wayhill, who will provide the grant award summary for November and December.
Good evening. Thank you, Shonda, Mr. Chair, members of the Board of Trustees. Most of you heard this presentation last week at our topical session, so I'm going to try to be brief, and I realize probably you cannot read the screen. But I'll begin with November. We've got 5 grants that we were awarded the month of November. The first one is 60 by 30 or 30 barrier removal, growing institutional capacity. I think you all know that the 60 by 30 initiative is a statewide initiative championed by the governor and the legislature, bipartisan basis, to try to get 60% of Michigan's residents to be college educated with a degree or some form of credential by the year 2030. So 60% by the year 2030. We received $376,000 for that grant. The next one is the Flint and Genesee Literacy Network, which is an organization where we serve as the fiduciary and have been doing that for probably 12 or 13 years, I'm guessing. This is a small amount, $15,000 from the A.G. Bishop Trust, which is a local family trust held at State Bank. It is for, let's see here, software purchases for to support adult learning. Again, Flint and Genesee Literacy Network. The next one is a grant to the Lenore Crowdy Center, also from the A.G. Bishop Trust, $25,000. This essentially is for general operating purposes of the Lenore Crowdy Center. You know the center as the institution that provides the Mott Eats Food Pantry, child care for our student parents, a clothing closet, social workers, transportation. We're thinking that this $25,000 will mostly fund the food pantry and also bus passes or bus vouchers for our students. Excuse me. And then the last one is another grant for the Flint and Genesee Literacy Network. This one is something we've been getting for, I think, 10 years now from the Community Foundation. It's an operations grant, $50,000, and that will go to provide general operations for the network. And then lastly, for the month of November, a grant to the academics area of the college. We received $2 million for associates to BSN work, 60 by 30, state of Michigan, maybe a year and a half ago. This allows students who are earning their associates to go on to Eastern Michigan University to get their bachelor's. That was a $2 million grant. This is a supplemental addition to that in the form of $170,588, which will allow 10 more students to go through that particular initiative. So for November, $636,588 in grants awarded to the college, and that brings the fiscal year to date as of the end of November to $8.444 million. I'm going to switch to the month of December. More grants in this month, 8 to be exact. Our Early Childhood Learning Center, which is part of the Crowdy Center across the way. Small amount from the Loeb Trust, which is out of Huntington Bank, $5,000. That is for additional playground equipment for some of the little ones over there. The next one is one of several Workforce and Economic Development Division grants. It's around Entrepreneurship Network. It's from the C.S. Mott Foundation for $128,000. This allows students to explore entrepreneurship and business and learn some skills that they can apply to an existing business that they're working in, or potentially own their own business at some point. So things like accounting and leadership and budgeting for businesses. Workforce is another grant, Adult Career Pathways Renewal, C.S. Mott Foundation, $300,000. This one is going to go to 200 people in terms of unemployed adults, low-income workers, and also Opportunity Youth. Opportunity Youth are ages 16 to 24, and those are young people who have stopped out of high school, and we're hoping to get them back in so they can get a GED. Another couple of workforce programs, both of these are from Jobs for Michigan Graduates. JMG is the acronym. GST Michigan Works is the source of these grants. One is $180,000. This is for students in high school who are in high school presently. Our partner schools are Flint Community Schools and Westwood Heights. And then that next JMG grant is $75,000. And that is for out-of-school youth, again, youth between 16 and 24 who have stopped out for the moment of education, and we're trying to pull them back in. A couple more for workforce. Youth Build, we're very proud of it. I saw Daphne Epps in the audience back here. I assume she's still here. She's running that one. It's from the U.S. Department of Labor, $1.5 million. This is the second time we've received the Youth Build grant. Very exciting, and I think this is an expansion of what we did previously. So you've got, I think it adds up to 68 students, maybe? Is that my right? Okay, 68 students, 4 cohorts of 17 youth each. 34 of those youth are going to focus on construction trades. 17 will focus on certified nursing certificate program, and the balance, another 17, will look at accelerated welding. They learn about leadership, they learn academics, and they do those other activities as well. All right, 2 more workforce grants. Strengthening community colleges, U.S. Department of Labor, almost $1.5 million. This one is about equity in healthcare. 350 participants in total. A subset of those, we're going to be focusing on African American men who are underrepresented in the field. And you can see that the program areas will be CNA, medical assisting, medical administrative specialist, pharmacy technician, sterile processing technician, and EMT. And the last one for the month of December, also a workforce grant, another 60 by 30. This is the last state opportunity thus far that they've issued for 60 by 30 Reconnect Community Action Grant for $1.2 million. This will allow the college to place within 6 partner agencies around the county. So places like Gear Up to Lead, which is a public school academy, Michigan Works is another one. We will be putting navigators into those institutions who will physically be placed there, talking with potential students about 60 by 30, about Michigan Reconnect and the opportunities that those initiatives provide for that population. So month of December, grand total for that month in grants, $4.832 million, which brings the fiscal year to date from July 1 through December 31st, $13,277,032. Happy to answer any questions, Mr. Chair.
Any questions?
Thank you, Dale.
Thank you, Dale.
All right.
Great job.
So I think I'm staying here with Lynetta, right? Thank you.
Yes, the foundation presentation. Thank you. So with us is Lynetta joining Dale to provide us with an overview of the Foundation for Mott Community College, how the college works together with the foundation, and all of the benefits that the foundation brings. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am Lynetta Coney, and I wear two hats here. I'm the president of the Foundation for Mott Community College, and I'm also the executive director of College and Community Advancement. And I'm wanting to share with you how we differ from the CS Mott Foundation on Saginaw Street. So, often people mistake us. We are specifically designed to acquire and distribute resources to Mott the college for faculty, staff, and students. And if we advance this slide, you will see that this mission was created some time ago, but it's very apropos to what we are today and who and what we do. And it is specifically to acquire and distribute resources to the students, faculty, and staff, and it creates a multitude of richness and excellence, and it is for, it mirrors the college's mission statement in that it provides for the financial, literary, and multicultural experiences here.
So as a practical matter, the foundation serves as the college's nonprofit fundraising arm. So the college has this separate entity with its own board, which we'll get to in a moment, 501c3 status, Lynetta as the president. It has its own staff paid for by the college, but it serves a function in terms of allowing donors to give to a nonprofit agency for both tax purposes and other reasons. And then I'll just say that in 2023-24, the foundation raised $1.2 million in support of Mott Community College to advance its mission. And then in terms of the history of MCC, next slide, please. The foundation was formed in 1986. The foundation is one of 26 community college foundations located in Michigan. So it's not unusual to have a community college have a nonprofit fundraising arm attached to it. There are 900 found throughout the United States, and it's categorized as an institutionally related foundation. I'll just mention that she probably wouldn't say this about herself, but Lynetta is a very active leader in both the statewide organization of community college foundations as well as the national movement. The foundation started with 2 employees and was established to catch up with a gift and to provide the donor with a tax credit. And at that time, the Michigan State tax credit, for years, there was approximately $140,000 on repository.
And so for many years, that $140,000 sat there. It was the foundation was a great instrument for donors to know that they could invest in the college and enjoy all of the attributes and credits that go with making charitable donations. Now, if we advance the slide again, you can see that there's over a 39-year history here. And we have been, and I say we because I live this passion. This is my life's work. We have been instrumental in the life and times of this college so that anything that's having to do with the academic programs, the student life programming, and anything that adorns the campus, the foundation has found its way to assist the college in achievement. Well, there are other things that we do as well. And when I was asked to take on the foundation, I was also asked to look at ways by which we would bring community together. So you have heard of the Peace and Dignity Ceremony, which we bring the 4 colors of the 4 directions together. That's been something that the foundation has gotten involved with. We created in 1999 Women in Education program, and I pause here to say that the Women in Education program is a signature program that goes beyond tuition, books, and fees. It was the first in 1999 established because we found that the indice for our student population was 64% or better, and so we said we needed to find a way to retain female students. Now, the reason why I take this time to mention that signature program is because it's so pervasive that it goes beyond helping women. We are finding that students do not have the dollars to feed, clothe, and educate self, family, and then they have non-traditional crisis. So While we started with Women in Education, we are also raising money through the Centennial Scholars Fund, the Blamer Fund. There are many different funds that help students beyond the classroom. Students do not have bus fare, they can't pay their light bill, they don't have dental, they don't have medical. We are looking to help students in a holistic way. And so donors have met us where we need it. And so we are raising money to go beyond tuition, books, and fees, but to help students in everyday life circumstances. You might know, we talked a little bit earlier when you heard about the grants that we had, the Lenore Crowdy Family Life Center campaign, and then if you go into that building once everything's back up and running, you will see that there is a wall of distinction where people have decided that they want to be a part of the Lenore Crowdy Lifetime Friends campaign, and we've been a champion for that. Back a couple of months ago, the Venkat Rao naming opportunity came before you, and that's another way that we raise money, because there are people who want to see their loved ones or self live on this campus. So naming has been one of the historical ways that we've looked at being a champion. Do you want to talk about the Heritage Society?
Sure. I know why she said that. So the Heritage Society is the last one on here. This is where people can earmark us in their estate plans and other ways, such as wills and life insurance. And the reason I was making fun of that is that I have, in my own name, dedicated to the college. So once I pass on, 4 insurance policies that probably total, I don't know, $40,000 or $50,000. So the joke that Lynetta and I have, and my husband and I share, is that I'm giving more money to her in the college than I am to my own husband when I pass away. All right, go ahead, Lynetta.
And so I want to just call your attention to the next slide, which will give you an overview of who we are. And you can see that in terms of our current staff, in terms of our current staff, you'll see that I'm there to direct the staff. We have an advancement coordinator who is Marie Prekatis, and then we have 2 temporary persons that are helping, and one is Ulissa Munger, and she's an administrative assistant type, and then we have an events coordinator that also goes to helping us with the Alumni Association, and her name is Leslie Howe. So those are the people that I say they're the glue. I simply have the great benefit to help them understand what we need to do, and they make it happen. So if we go further, I thought it important that you kind of take a look at how we organize our work. And so, as you can see, the foundation has its own board of directors. There's 26 persons that come together 4 or 5 times a year for their organized meetings, but of course they do work beyond that. And you can see that we are organized in this way. So there is a finance and investment team, and I would say that we've done very well with our portfolio. There's a fundraising and public awareness group, and then there's a nominating and bylaws group. So that's our governance component. And when anyone is doing fundraising, you always have to have your bread and butter initiative, and that's annual giving. Annual giving is the way by which people come to you, and then you get into your major gifting, your special events, your planned gifting, and any projects with capital funding projects. I want to just call your attention as well to that other column there. A foundation does not have an alumni association, but a foundation can certainly be the fiduciary for the dollars that come in. And so we are mobilized to help reach out to persons who attended this college back when it was Flint JC, Flint Community College, Genesee Community College, and now Mott, all the same great, wonderful place. This is another way to cultivate and bring people closer. So this is the way we're organized to do our work, and it's been effective.
So next slide, please. This gives you the names of the 26 community individuals, all volunteers, who are part of the board of directors of the Foundation for Mott Community College. I'm certain there are names on here that many of you recognize. Well, I'll just mention one. The chair, the current chair, is Anthony Alexander, otherwise known as Tony. He also does a lot of work with the Bruin Club and has been around for decades supporting this college as a volunteer in many, many ways. Pretty much every aspect of the community is reflected here. People from the business sector, people from education sector, folks from nonprofits, just a wide, diverse group of folks, all pulling and rowing towards the mission of the foundation. Next slide. So how money is raised at the foundation? I'm going to do the first 4 of these and then pass it over to my colleagues. So sometimes we get major gifts that come into the foundation. One example would be the gift that funded in part the Mott Mobile Learning Training Lab, and I'm looking at Robert and the workforce folks over there and Marcus. That entity or the training lab that gets pulled around the county to different companies and different organizations to offer training is funded by several $100,000s of major gifts from one family, Dr. Lafia and his wife, Paul Lafia. Naming opportunities is another way. You're all very familiar, I think, with the naming of the Venkat Rao Mott Eats Food Pantry. You all did that at the end of last year, and that was a 6-figure gift. Special events. We didn't mention it, I don't think, but Mott, Motown, and More was one of our bullets, and that's probably the most prominent or one of the most prominent events that we do, where local celebrities from the community lip sync at the Capitol Theater to make money for the foundation and for students here at the college. And then lastly, there's almost 200 scholarships that have been formed at the Foundation for Mott Community College by people, as Lynetta said earlier, who want to honor a family member, or a program at the college and help students succeed. So they endow scholarships through the foundation. They're held in perpetuity and given out annually between Lynetta's office and the Office of Financial Aid here at Mott.
And so once you've done your annual giving and your major gifting, there are individuals who want to see that the future of the foundation and the college to be strong. And so what they want to do is to earmark in their estate plan, their will, the college. And so we call that planned giving. So it takes on a life beyond our time. And so this Heritage Society that was created is a way to honor those who are designating the college in their estate plan or their will. So planned giving is a way that we talk and find a mutual intersection between what the college needs and what donors want to give. So sometimes they'll say, I want to give where the need is greatest and I don't want to have any strings attached. They might say, I want to earmark my gift when I meet my demise for nursing or for a particular designation. And so we take care of that. With a bequest, there are many people that I might know because I've met with their attorneys, but there are people that I have not met, and they have left money to the college. And I have to say to the people who work here that what I often hear from the attorneys or the family is that the great work that's done is so pervasive that they want to make sure that they give back. And so there are times that we get some wonderful bequests, and we got, what, a $2 million bequest back a few years ago, and that was with a couple that had no children. She was an alum of Flint JC, and he was an alum of Ferris. And so he was in the pharmacy business. He sold his business to CVS, and they made that donation back, or that bequest, to us. Now, the other is employee giving. The lifeline of this foundation was begun with the employees of the college, along with this donor that we mentioned back a while ago. There were many faculty and staff members who said that they believed in their programs and they wanted to see that they helped their students. So we do what is called the employee giving campaign that always happens, and we kick it off in August when we have our welcome back breakfast, and we run that through the end of the year, and we find that employees designate their dollars, or they will say they want to give unrestrictedly. And so my quest is to get as many employees as possible to give, because when I go out beyond this campus, I'm often asked, do your own people believe in what you do? And so employee giving is really essential. Annual giving is, as I say, that is our bread and butter piece that we always look at, and usually annual giving is giving unrestrictedly. So annual giving is one other way that we champion that throughout the year. And then I've indicated placemaking. So back a while ago, Claire White, as you might know, is Ridgeway White's mom. She sat on a committee with me to help beautify the campus. There are people who want to see donations made for something tangible. So if you go outside this door here, you'll see that the Mr. Mott statue is there. We've raised money to erect that on campus. The Bruin Bear mascot, raised money for that. The armillary sphere that's over by the RTC, we raised money for that. And of course, there's the cake and scholar sculpture that's over the auditorium door in the RTC. So there are different artifacts on campus that we have raised money for because donors are saying, yeah, I like a scholarship. I'm going to do plan giving, but I want something tangible and something to help adorn the campus. So that's another way.
So I'm going to ask Jeff if you'd move 2 slides. So skip the next one, yeah, to this one. And I'm going to let Lynetta do this one as well, since it's something to be extraordinarily proud of for her and her board.
So I'll just say, I want to give a drum roll, 12.3 million that we have on repository, and it started out with 140,000. So if we go forward, I don't want to, I want to hurry through this because I think I'm standing between this meeting being over, right? So
Some of this we've covered.
yeah, so let's go to the next slide. And so there's some recent successes here, and you have in your packet what we've outlined here. And so I will just indicate that in terms of historically, we were very involved in the resurrection, if I could say it that way, of the Ballinger Eminent Persons Lecture Series when we brought Spike Lee to campus, and we pushed that one forward because that's a way by which we create the richness and the multicultural and literary value to our college. And if we were not here with the Ballinger Lecture Series and looking at donors to help us with this, then our community wouldn't be able to be up close and personal with these personalities. We also helped bring the dental hygiene lab back on campus because it was down at the Mott Children's Health Center, and there are a number of other things there. So why don't we go to the next slide, because this is where the rubber meets the road for me. This is what I do daily. And so I always like to say, how can you enjoy the art of giving, and how can you contribute? And so you can see there's some boxes there where we're saying that we ask for individual contributions, planned giving, special events, establishing a scholarship, donor referrals for our cultivation, and what is our best practice?
Board giving. Board giving is the best practice. Did all the board members know that? So if you're on a nonprofit or a public board and there's a fundraising element, it is a best practice that board members give at some level. And, you know, some institutions require a certain amount. I know of nonprofits that do, for example, in our community. We've never done that here at Mott, but we hope that you will choose one of those ways, whether it's a special event or a donation or perhaps a planned gift, and make that to the college so that we can help you live your philanthropic dreams. That's what Lynetta and I tell people. We're not asking you for money. We're helping you live your philanthropic dreams and support the mission of the college. So with that, Mr. Chair, we'll turn it back to you for any questions. Sorry, I got us thrown off.
Are there any questions? Art?
Less a question than just a reinforcement of how important it is that the individual board members do participate in the foundation for Mott Community College. You know, it makes their job easier when they're out doing it, and if you talk with your employer, like the giving that I do is through payroll at GM, so, you know, I'm not having to write a check every month. It's coming out on a weekly basis. So you can talk with your employer or set it up where you're writing a check or you know, making multiple donations over a period of time, or a one-time donation. But it is really important, you know, I mean, we are giving of our time and our talent on this board, but it's important that we give of our treasury as well to our college. So I strongly suggest that.
Thank you, Art.
Just out of curiosity, when you're looking at, say, this year, in terms of the funds that you have on hand, what's the percentage division, say, between grants and donations?
So the grants that we get that I described in the two reports, those are examples, I think, what you're referring to.
Yes.
Those heavily outweigh the donations that would come into the foundation. So we probably are at $13 million in grants right now. Is that what I said? Or even into January, it's 13 million or so. But the foundation is quite a bit less in terms of that. But it also varies by year. So Lynetta mentioned that we got a bequest probably 3-4 years ago from the folks who came out of nowhere in a way and gave us $2 million. But generally speaking, the grant space has many more opportunities, and they're a much higher dollar value, especially ones, an example, John, $12.5 million last year from CS Mott Foundation towards the Pearl renovation project. And that was just one grant. And that dwarfs what comes in terms of special events and individual giving at the foundation, if that's your question.
Yep, that's my question. And then the second thing is just a closing comment, and that's, if you're going to make a grant or a donation, talk to the foundation first, because I've sat on several boards, and with the best of intentions, people will make a grant, and they make it for something specific to be done, and that we used to call that buckets. And you wound up with a lot of buckets of money where the only thing that money could be spent on was that thing. And especially if they're repetitive grants, situations may change. And in one organization, we had a struggle with, there was money that had been given to support the operations of this one particular glider port for gliders. And it was coming in every month or every year. And the glider port no longer existed. And it was really a strain on the organization to figure out how do we handle those situations where you've got long grants. So coordination and establishing it with the foundation to me, is a critical thing for people to do.
Thank you. I just wanted to make one comment, and that is, I probably should have inculcated that into this presentation. Throughout the years, this board, when they decide, have designated an individual to come to the board meeting, to our board meeting. So there's cross-pollination. So there is a provision for organizing and designating someone here to come to the foundation board to sit on that. That's been a past practice, as with the Bruin Club. It hasn't happened every year, but it is certainly an open opportunity.
Thank you.
I'm going to pass out the annual report and our calendar of events, and it's hot off the press. It just came out on Friday.
Thank you, Lynetta and Dale. And the annual report is beautiful. I know the team spent a lot of time and effort pulling that together. It was well done, Lynetta. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is related to a proposal for the board to consider an ACCT training retreat. So there is an executive summary that summarizes the proposal, which I've included for your review. The suggested, I don't know how much detail you'd like me to go into it. The idea of bringing the proposal to the board this evening is to obtain your approval to move forward with the retaining and booking of the retreat date, or at least and we can work on dates, or I've provided some proposed dates here in the executive summary that I was able to confirm that the consultants would be available to travel here to Michigan. So these are Friday evening and all-day Saturday dates, February 14th through the 15th, or the 21st through the 22nd. So if this is something that you would like to pursue, even if we're not sure of the dates, if the board would consider making a motion to approve a proposal to move forward with securing ACCT to provide either 1 or 2 day training retreat, which we can schedule together, or we can schedule them separately. We could do a whole weekend if that was the board's desire. So
moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, and it's been seconded to give the go-ahead to the interim president to continue with the training. And I'm not sure of the dates.
Yeah.
I'm good with the 21st and 22nd.
21st and 22nd works best for me.
Yeah.
That's the best for me as well.
Yeah, yeah.
That's good for me.
Candace?
Wow,
Yeah.
that's easy. Wow, I didn't
Since
expect
this
that.
is February, I'm
That's
assuming
great.
this is not like the ropes course or something like that. We're going to be outside or.
Bring
That's
your
right,
coat.
we'll keep you warm. Yeah, great. Okay, very good.
All right,
Well,
we
we'll
have a
get that
motion. We need to,
booked.
any more discussion on it? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. There you go.
Okay, excellent. The next item on the President Report agenda is an update on specimens that were found in the Gorman Science Building. And certain of the staff and the faculty were cleaning an area of the Gorman laboratory rooms, and back deep inside one of the cabinets were some very aged specimen containers that had in them human embryos at various stages. And so the staff alerted the Department of Public Safety immediately. This was the first time any of the current staff had been aware that that these specimens were in the room or in the building. And so a search for documentation was started by staff, and there's been no identification that could be found, and no history or knowledge of where these specimens originated from, or when they were secured, or what their purpose was. So they are currently in evidence in the Department of Public Safety, and so we have engaged Carriagetown Mission in Flint here to assist with next steps. They have been more than willing to help and step in, take the specimens into their custody and find an appropriate final resting place for these specimens. So we have an arrangement with, not an arrangement, but we do a lot of support for the Carriagetown Mission. We support their events with various donations, and they are willing to help out in this instance of anonymity, that we do not know where these came from or what the source is. So they've agreed to take that next step and find an appropriate resting place for these specimens. Are there any questions on any of that? And the last item is an update on the Student Life Center. Trustee Reyes had submitted a question to me inquiring about certain flags that were in the Student Life Center. I also received a second inquiry from the sponsor of the Student Life Center, whose family sponsors the space. And so in order, I responded to Trustee Reyes, and I will read that response so that the entire board can be brought up to speed on the situation. So I thank Trustee Reyes for bringing to my attention the fact that there had previously been a variety of flags in the Student Life Center. And my understanding is that there were certain country flags, but not all country flags in the, and then there were also social flags. So I reached out to the team in the Student Life Center to better understand. So just so that the full board has the same response I provided to Trustee Reyes, I will read this. Thank you for bringing the recent decor and club representation changes in the Student Life Center to my attention. In December, the members of staff who have management responsibility for the center began a process to update the Student Life Center space and begin to equally highlight all of MCC's diverse student groups. There are currently 46 student groups registered with the SLC. In order to represent and highlight all student groups equally, a new poster has been created that lists all 46 groups. This poster is to be displayed throughout the SLC and MCC common areas to promote the wide array of clubs available to our students. In addition, there is a concurrent effort underway to create large individual club posters, one for each group, which will result in 46 large posters. These posters include personalized photos of the current club members and other symbols, colors, and logos that the groups will select themselves to best represent their club. When all 46 posters are completed, these too will be displayed along with the central Student Life Center poster listing all 46 groups. The staff's efforts have resulted in equal representation of all 46 groups and reinforces Mott's strong commitment to and support of our diverse student body and inclusion of all, which we can all be proud of. Again, thank you for your questions, and let me know if you have others. And that was the agenda item that Trustee Reyes asked that I add to the President's report this evening.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess when I got the call regarding this, the word polarizing was brought into it, that the polarizing flags were being removed. And part of the question that I had was, who deemed these things polarizing? You know, I'd further like to know, when was this determined? How was it conveyed? Because this was, it's not the kind of thing that, when you find out from somebody in the community who does it, of course, you're getting it from their perspective. And it brought to mind, because the individual had some concerns as to whether or not, well, the pride flag had come down, whether we were going to be less welcoming to our LGBTQ students. Were we taking into consideration the very real fears that they had for marginalization, the Black Lives Matter flag coming down? Again, marginalization, and was this a direction that the board was moving in? And it was absolutely news to me. And when I presented it to you and asked you, you know, it appeared that it was news to you as well. So I didn't know how this came about, that they would start removing the flags, and so there was some confusion, and, you know, as I'm getting asked more questions, it's, you know, what if a group isn't a recognized club, or what if there's not an advisor for a club for a particular year? Will their banner come down? You know,
Yes.
so every year, we're gonna go through this list, and there could be 46 this year, but next year there could be 49, or there could be 42.
Sure, we want to represent all, absolutely. Yeah, the clubs can come and go, and we want to include each and every club equally.
Okay.
But yes, I can't answer for those words that were spoken to you. This is the opposite of polarization.
Right, I guess it was just the ones that were being removed, the ones that had been removed. The word polarization or polarizing had been put in there as conveyed to me. So I just want to make sure that, you know, we are continuing with our commitment to having the diverse student body that we have in a diverse community, that we have the inclusion. You know, because the board had set forward, and that hasn't changed, you know, our number one priority is DEI. And I want to make sure that we're continuing down that path. And if that had changed, I wanted to find out how and why. So when it was presented to me, that was, you know, what came to mind. And in today's political climate, unfortunately, it's going to be something that we are going to end up having to deal with. And I want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to represent every student, and every student, prospective student, and alumni know that they were valued, are valued, and are welcomed onto our campus. So that was the reason that I brought it up, and I'm glad that we have a commitment that will continue, because it's too important to a community as diverse as Genesee County for us to drop that ball.
Agree. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
And I support Trustee Ray's, what you're saying 100%. One of my question is, my understanding is that these flags were on flagpoles, and they had been flown up there, and then for some reason they were taken down. Is that a fair assessment?
Flagpoles? I don't think they were, I have no
I don't
idea.
know,
I don't
'cause
know.
I've had
I never
people
saw
tell
the
me
flags, but I don't think,
Okay.
were they on, no, they were never on flagpoles, Trustee Daly. See, that, there's, when things go through, yeah, yeah.
Okay, do you have anything else?
That concludes the president's report.
Okay, moving right along to board comments. Trustee Dotson, any comments?
No, well, yes. The only comment I have is I'm thankful for my first official meeting, and I'm definitely looking forward to a fresh start. And thank you to everyone for the vote of confidence.
Just
Trustee Wilcox?
congratulations to the new trustees and old ones that just got sworn in today.
I'd also like to congratulate the new ones, and you being the only old one, she just wouldn't say that.
Say something, I thought for sure.
Congratulations on joining the board. I am pleased with the tone and tenor of this meeting. There's things that we will need to continue to work through and work out, but I'm glad that you didn't try to throw anybody out or challenge John Daly to a fight. So I'm glad that the tone and tenor has changed.
Mr. Daly?
First of all, President Richardson Snell, thank you for the executive summary. Okay, again, I think those things, particularly on the items that are business items that we're making decisions on, those are important because they, let's face it, the board spends limited time on being with the Board of Trustees. We're volunteers. We're going to meet once, maybe twice a month. And we certainly will never have the breadth of understanding that the faculty and the administration have concerning what's going on. Having said that, having an executive summary for decision items, to me, helps me at least get, this is the point where the discussion is going to start, is with that executive summary. So having it there gives everybody a common starting point, and we're not starting the race like this, and it's more like this. So I thank you for including that, and would hope that would be a practice that you will follow in the future. And again, I look forward to the training course. I just hope it's not no obstacle courses outside, no ranger school stuff. And look forward to working with you. I like the tenure of the meeting. I felt that this was one of the first instances that we have where we've shown that we can disagree, but we can still work together. That after it's over, we're still one common team and we go to a common objective. So I want to thank all the board members, including the new members. Welcome aboard, by the way. And I look forward to working with each of you during the term ahead.
Trustee Miller?
I'd just like to say thank you very much for the opportunity to serve and for voting in to the voters. I appreciate Jordan and the work that he accomplishes. I really do. And Shonda and Jeff, I think you're doing a great job as our chair. And I'm just appreciative. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. My comments are welcome, Kenyatta and Candace, and I am the old guy, so. And John, I appreciate the comments. This is a new board, and we're going to work together. And you're right, we won't always agree, but we will work it out.
And for those that I'll just share one thing with you, and that's disagreement's okay. And that's democracy. That's where somebody made the comment about the fact they worried about there were a lot of votes that were 4-3 and 3-4s and stuff like that. And why don't we go back to the 5-0 days? Well, that's not a good thing. That's one thing being discussed, or with very little discussion, and no interface between the people that are at the board to get inclusion and to get the diversity that we need to have in this board. So discussion is good. And the thing we do is, like we used to say in my former life, leave your guns at the door. That once it's done, and as long as it's within the realm of the law and the reason, once it's done, it's over.
Thank you. I do have one final comment that I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?